Good morning, everybody. Sorry to make you wait. We're going to call the Solid Waste Local Task Force to order at 11:07 a.m. We're going to start with a roll call. Arcata. Here. Blue Lake. Not here. Eureka. Here. Ferndale. Not here. Fortuna.
Here.
Rio Dell. Not here. Trinidad.
Here.
And County of Humboldt. Here. All right. Thank you. We're going to move on to the review and approval of our January 22nd minutes from our previous meeting. If there's any discussion or public comment on this item. Seeing none, I'll see if anybody would like to make a motion in a second to approve the minutes.
Make a motion that we improve the minutes.
Okay, Matt has a motion. Do we have a second?
Second, Trinidad.
Thank you. Eli, second. Okay, and then we'll call for a vote. Arcata?
Aye.
All right. Eureka? Aye. Fortuna?
Aye.
Trinidad?
Yes.
County of Humboldt?
Aye.
Wonderful. Motion passes. Next is our jurisdiction representative reports. This is a time where the jurisdictions report on activities and ongoing projects since our previous meeting. Would anybody like to kick us off?
I will.
Wonderful.
Just working on our franchise agreement. Seems we're making some steps forward with that, getting some resolution. So hopefully by June we'll have it situated.
Wonderful. Eureka is similar. We're also working on our franchise negotiations with Recology to offer the curbside organic service. And we too are looking at a June date to have that finalized. Also, many of the jurisdictions were lucky enough to receive technical assistance grants from CowerCycle for SB 1383 implementation. So we have had that funding released, I think, as of February. So that's helped us continue to pay our consultants who are helping with negotiations. So we appreciate that technical assistance funding.
I'll just jump in. So Arcata also is working regionally on franchise agreement negotiation and similar timeline as Fortuna and Eureka have reported. One additional thing I'll add is the edible food recovery piece. There will be some updates on that later, but Arcata is very excited about the education outreach plan that's been put out by the environmental program, the food program managers. That's it.
Thank you.
Similarly to the jurisdiction, the county is also working on a franchise agreement with Recology, and we have a expected resolution date of June, like the rest of the jurisdictions. And we're also trying to develop the edible food recovery education plan with Abound Food Care so that we can actually distribute towards the jurisdictions and work accordingly to educate and create an outreach program for the county.
Thank you.
And Trinidad will be starting the negotiation for the franchise agreement with Humboldt this year.
Great, thank you. So our next item is actually a new item, and it is about the frequency of meeting of this task force. For folks who might not know, we started meeting more frequently a couple years ago due to the regional coordination required for all the SB 1383 implementation. And since then, we have really been rocking and rolling on the internal side of things. And we've found that these meetings move quicker and have less agenda items. So wanted to pose the discussion of maybe reducing our frequency to maybe once or twice a year as opposed to quarterly. What we've been doing is meeting the fourth Monday every quarter starting in January and then every 3 months after that. So our next meeting was slated to be July 22nd. So I kind of want to just open it up and see how folks are feeling about that and maybe what kind of action we might want to take today. So I'll open it up and see.
Arcata supports the idea of reducing the frequency of the meetings. The the jurisdictions are meeting very regularly, and so I think a lot is being accomplished. I think maybe once a year would be appropriate at this point, but what do others think about that?
Yeah, Trinidad also would support reducing the meetings, but we would suggest, since we're going from 4 to go to 2, and then see where we go from there.
Okay.
The county will also support a reduction of the frequency of the meetings. I do agree with Trinidad that we should reduce to 2 instead of 4. I think that would be a better reduction, and that way we can have a mid-year evaluation of what's going on in the end year.
Okay, in light of that, I'd like to make a motion that we reduce our meeting schedule to twice a year.
Okay, that sounds good to me too. I wanted to make one clarification. Let's choose our dates that we're going to hold. I think it's good to keep the dates on the calendar. It can sometimes be hard to get everybody's schedules to align. So 6 months from now, I believe, would be our October meeting. Yeah. So if we would like to meet in October, and then 6 months from then, I believe would be April. So we'd be meeting in April and October moving forward until we decide to reduce from there. And then before we take Matt up on that motion, if there's any public comment. Okay, seeing none, I will ask Matt if you want to revise that motion to include the months we'll be meeting.
Okay, I'd like to make a motion that we reduce our meetings to twice a year, one in October, one in April.
Wonderful. Do we have a second?
Trinidad seconds.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll go ahead and take a vote. Arcata?
Aye.
Okay, Eureka? Aye. And then Fortuna?
Aye.
Trinidad?
Aye.
And County of Humboldt?
Aye.
Okay, wonderful. Motion passes. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our ongoing discussion items. The first section is recycling, and we invite Hambro to come to each meeting and report any updates on their CRV buyback centers. So I'd like to invite Hambro to provide any updates. If they are here, they might be on Zoom possibly.
Can you hear me?
Oh, there we are. Yes, we can hear you now.
Yeah, we're on Zoom. So the buyback centers in Humboldt are doing very well. Redway's been open now for a while. Willow Creek, I was up in Willow Creek on Saturday and they were quite busy. So we're serving the outlying areas very well. Fortuna is doing good, and as well as Arcata. We have obtained certification to open the recycle center in Eureka. We will be opening sometime in the next probably 3 months or so. It'll be at the Redwood Acres Fairgrounds, and we'll keep everybody up to date on an opening date for that center. We are opening it as part of the pilot that we're on now, currently running Willow Creek and Redway. So we really look forward to opening up Eureka. So so we'll keep everybody up to date.
Thank you so much. That's so exciting about Redwood Acres. There's so much opportunity there, and it's centrally located. So that'll be a big deal for the greater Eureka area. Okay. If that is all, does anyone else have any maybe questions or comments for Hambro before we move on?
I do.
Oh.
If that's okay.
Sure. Go ahead.
I wanted to, it's really wonderful that we have the buyback opportunities in Humboldt County. I just, thought as a general comment, and just, I was just wondering with the Hambro group, we've been noticing an increase in damage to our recycling containers and to break-ins to Redway and at our container site facilities down in southern Humboldt. And it seems to be that folks that are breaking in are targeting the recycling. And I was wondering if Hambros, I know we used to, when we ran the buyback, try to address this by having, by not giving people cash but we would do checks instead. And I realize that that is an expense that, it's a big expense and it's difficult to do. But I was wondering if there was any stomach of Hambros to be able to want to partner with Recology and perhaps law enforcement to try to identify individuals, or that we might be able to contact you if we have known individuals that are doing this to try to curtail that behavior, if that was anything that Hambros might be willing to partner with us about, because we really want to make sure that all these programs are successful.
So I'll start with the first comment you made about checks or credit cards or debit cards. We've looked into that, and it's just not feasible to do that. The costs are way out there. And as far as policing who comes to our center, we have no way of knowing, where the material came from. We're buying material that's the homeowner is wanting to redeem, and also I'm sure we're redeeming material that's been cleaned up along the streets, and that was the whole idea of the bottle bill, was for litter and cleaning up our streets and highways and such. So at this point, we don't know where it comes from. If we would probably talk about if you knew who was doing it, but as far as us policing it, we don't plan on policing that ourselves.
Well, Linda, I invite you to continue because you are our next curbside recycling update. So if you want to transition into more recycling, yeah.
Yeah, we are still experiencing quite a bit of contamination, but I think that that's going to improve once we improve our franchise agreements with the recycling and education and outreach programs. That's something that adds a huge expense to the program. So thank you.
Thank you, Linda. Okay, our next item is our recurring updates on SB 1383. Let's see. Well, I think I'll invite anybody who maybe just has any general thoughts, updates, topics on SB 1383, and then we can invite Amar to update us on the Regional Food Recovery Manager. But are there any other general SB 1383 updates that anyone wanted to provide? Well, I'll just go ahead and put words to most of the jurisdictions are on corrective action plans with CowRecycle, and we did meet with them recently regionally and provided some context of why the rollout of curbside organics is taking as long as it is. And they seemed very understanding and genuinely wanting to understand how things are working up here. And we've also heard that it's very similar to the rest of the state as well. So we are looking generally positive with compliance, and CowRecycle definitely seems to be a partner and supportive of just the nuances and many steps it takes to roll out universal curbside organics. Okay, Amar, were you interested in an update about our edible food program?
Right. For the edible food recovery program, Abound is currently working, to complete the initial phase of the contract we have with them, which is basically create a program that targets the tier 1 and tier 2 recovery generators in the county, and create an educational guide and create a system with them for them to safely deliver food from recovered edible food from the generators to the food banks. Abound is currently also creating an education and outreach program for the schools and for the jurisdictions, so we can actually put it on our website, which it's being updated as we speak, and shared with our population and community to improve our edible food recovery and create a guide for those that are actually in need of the edible food recovered edible food, to be able to find locations where they can have access to it.
Wonderful. I know each jurisdiction was sending out letters on their own timeline based off working with Abound on what messaging each jurisdiction may have wanted. But I will report on the Eureka end that all Eureka generators who fit the SB 1383 metrics for being a food generator should have received letters from the city and Abound communicating the requirements and then providing resources if there's any concerns or questions or maybe a thought that they aren't required. So that outreach has been going well, and we've been getting responses and calls based off those letters. So Abound is available to Eureka generators for any follow-ups. Folks are also welcome to reach out to the City of Eureka Community Services Department on the city end, but we've been really happy working with Abound so far.
Yeah, and I'll add that in addition, as well, the City of Arcata Tier 1 and 2 generators have received notification letters at this point. So very similar process happening across the board with all the jurisdictions. And yeah, it seems to be going really well. And Abound is very responsive and will be the point of contact for most questions. And that is included in the letter that they received.
Any other comments or updates on edible food recovery?
I would like to briefly add that so far, I think Abound Food Care has really championed the edible food recovery program in the county, and it's beginning to bear fruit. And I would love ongoing that we, as a county and the jurisdictions, actually put more effort in creating a sustainable program that not just for in compliance with the SB 1383, but a long-term program that benefits not just the county and the jurisdictions, but the community in general. So working with Abound Food Care has been one of the greatest opportunities to actually see that come to life. So I would like to commend Abound Food Care for that.
Yeah, and thank you to the county for helping manage that regional contract on all of our behalf. And, I think it was probably new to a lot of us in our jobs to start managing the donation of food. But, CalRecycle saw the root cause issue of food in landfills, realizing that, the best way to prevent that is to prevent the food from getting put into the trash can in the first place. So I think we all have a soft spot for this work, but it's definitely been new, and it's been nice to have Abound guiding us. Okay, so that brings us to our non-local task force organization reports. I'll first invite HWMA if you have any updates.
Thank you, Chair. I have two updates. The first one would be on the organics recycling grant that we received. HWMA staff and Edgar and Associates staff, our consultant for managing the grant, met with CalRecycle grant manager last week. We went over the changes to the timeline due to some of the franchise negotiation issues and the truck allocation timelines. We will be updating our work plan and we'll be submitting it this week. And we anticipate receiving the notice to proceed sometime this month. So we'll be able to officially start some of that grant work, infrastructure upgrades, things like that, as soon as we get that. The second one would be HWMA recently hired a education and outreach specialist. She started last week. So I would invite all of the jurisdictions, franchise haulers, any consultant that you work with that is waste or waste adjacent, to reach out to HWMA to make sure that we're in the loop, and also we can now start lending a helping hand for some of the education outreach as well. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. We do have an update for Recology aside from the curbside recycling update. Linda, did you have anything else for us today?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you. Is anyone from Zero Waste Humboldt on Zoom today that wanted to share an update? I know sometimes we have a Krista. I don't know if she's here today. Okay, we do have the LEA on here. Patrick, did you have any updates for today? Oh, wonderful. If there should be a button, push.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So yeah, not a lot to bring up. Sarah Sanders left at the end of February, so we're currently recruiting to backfill her position.
Wow.
So I've been a lot more involved in the inspections, which has been kind of good and interesting. And then I think really the big thing for the LEA is being in communication with HWMA As far as future changes that would happen at the Hawthorne Street to receive organics, and so Eric's been really good about staying in touch on that. So we are very interested in the status of curbside collection and the edible food recovery. So that's about it.
Thank you.
All right, thanks.
We also have a time for CowRecycle to provide any updates. I see Catherine is online.
Hi all. I don't have any prepared updates for y'all today, but just as a reminder, I'm always available via phone and email for any questions that come up as you go through the process of SB 1383 implementation. Does everybody on the line here have my email, or would it be helpful for me to put that in the chat perhaps?
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt to have you put it in the chat. I know you had reached out over email to introduce yourself as our new assistants. Gosh, will you remind me the name of your department again?
It's local assistance and market development.
Yes, there we go. Yeah. So it's so nice to meet you, and thank you for joining us today. And hopefully we get to chat more as we roll into implementation of our requirements.
Yep, I'm always here to chat.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay, our next item is proposed future tasks or actions for future LTF meetings. Does anyone have any topics that they'd like to propose for the October meeting?
As far as electronics recycling, maybe to address how it's being done in the county, I saw an ad over the weekend that they were doing it in Orleans, but it'd be good to help identify for all of our local customers, where they can, where and when they can have electronics recycling.
Thank you. Eric, will you remind us? I know that HWMA isn't doing e-waste right now, but I believe Recology Fortuna is, and would that also be good messaging for the new education person to help with, maybe just because there's a deficit there?
Sure. What I can do is I can have HWMA reach out to the two satellite transfer stations, Humboldt Sanitation and Recology Eel River, and get a beat on exactly what type of e-waste they take, the dates and times that they accept it. If they're accepting it at Redway Transfer Station, I can gather all that information for that upcoming meeting for the task force if you'd like.
Wonderful. And I know sometimes some retailers will do like a take back thing sometimes, so I don't know if maybe between any of us we know if any retail stores maybe have like cell phone drop boxes or something like that, but sometimes that's another piece of it.
Yeah, I can have our program staff take a look and gather any type of satellite drop-off locations that we service or that we know have service as well, and I can bring that list.
Eric, I was wondering, is that electronic recycling information on your HWMA website, or could it be updated to kind of share where that people could go if they're looking at your site?
I would imagine it's not, because we generally tend to not put other businesses' practices on our website that we can't control. So for satellite locations that are under our purview, that we have like battery drop-offs or light bulbs, things like that will be on our website because we're the direct controller of those actions.
Okay.
But we generally don't advertise or educate for other locations, private businesses that can change those practices. We do make some exceptions with generally Humboldt Sanitation and Recology Eel River. So I'll double check with our program staff to see if we can update our website to include those and make sure that we tap into those two businesses' staff to keep them regularly updated as well.
That'd be great, because I know when Jenny was with the county, she created a pretty nice flyer, a one-page flyer that we did put on the City of Arcata's website, and we have double-checked that and updated it, so people, who are coming through the City of Arcata's website can find that information. I just think it's nice to have it as available as possible.
And then actually, Eric, I was going to ask you about light bulbs and batteries. Do you guys accept those through the HHW program?
That's correct.
Okay. And households do not need an appointment?
That is correct. Households can come Monday through Saturday, 8 to 3. We're closed from noon to 1 for lunch. Any businesses need to make an appointment Monday through Friday, and they can call the office. We do not accept same-day business appointments, so you have to call at least a day ahead.
And then this could be maybe for the future discussion item in October, but it could, I think I talked about this before and didn't get too far, but the ability to do like an e-waste pop-up event for just one day might be interesting to talk out. Of course, I'm sure there'd be costs and then like the transport, storage and transportation, but that could be something interesting to talk about as a task force. Okay, anything else on proposed future tasks or actions?
Not to take us back, but to the e-waste, I did have a dump day event this weekend. I actually collected a lot of electronic and e-waste, so I think we can come up to the next event. I think we can work together to create something, and I've seen it work before, and I think we can re-implement something like that. And for next meeting, October, I would like us to have a yearly update, report on the edible food recovery and see how far we've come between last year and this year. I think it started in October last year, so it would give us a year to evaluate how far we've come and what we've done and what progresses we've made and what we need to add or what we need to take back.
That sounds great. And were you imagining inviting a Bound to be the lead
Yes,
on
of
that?
course.
Okay, great. I'll mark that down, and then we do have that date set, so you can go ahead and confirm that with them.
Thank you very much.
That's a great idea. Okay, one more opportunity if there's anything else. Okay, our last item is a time for public comment for anything that did not appear on the agenda today. So I will hold for a moment and see if there's any general public comment.
Looks like we have someone on Zoom.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, hey Robin, this is Lloyd with the Local Worm Guy, and everyone else there that I have had the pleasure to meet. My question today is when the other jurisdictions are drafting their franchise agreements, and I guess this goes to everyone other than Arcata that I know the answer to, or I worked with Morgan already on this. Are you guys making allowances for community-based micro-hauling of organics? And I'll take my question offline here.
Yeah, thank you, Lloyd. Generally, public comment does not provide the opportunity to answer questions. But if folks are not familiar, Lloyd is with the Local Worm Guy. So if any of you are interested in reaching out to him directly and following up on his inquiry about our individual franchise negotiations, please feel free. Lloyd has been providing a valuable service as we have been lacking that curbside program. So I'm sorry we can't answer your question now, Lloyd, but like I said, I'll encourage our jurisdictions to follow up with you individually.
Great. And if they're wanting to, my email is localwormguy@gmail.com. So the name of my company, localwormguy@gmail.com. And yeah, that would be great. And yeah, I'd be happy to help with any sort of volume estimates or anything like that from what we're currently diverting from those jurisdictions. So thanks, Robin.
Thank you so much. Is there anybody else that wanted to provide public comment today? Okay, seeing none, then we're going to go ahead and adjourn the meeting at 11:35 a.m. Thank you, everybody.